good morning, good morning. Welcome to Heritage Matters, a program to examine our heritage and matters of such concern. So, welcome to everyone. And on today's show, we are expecting a guest, Mrs. Edsu Bradshaw Keynes. Mrs. Bradshaw Keynes is the Executive Director of the St. Christopher National Trust. And so she should be joining us very shortly. And so today we want to talk a little bit about the National Trust and about the project or projects that they may have in the pipeline. And I think the public would be interested to hear some of those details. So welcome to the show. And we will be on the way as soon as Mrs. Bradshaw Keynes calls. However, in the meantime, one of the things we're going to talk a little bit about is the old Treasury building. The old Treasury building, which was initially, as the name suggests, where the government's treasury was housed for many years, from somewhere about 1896, when the building was constructed or completed construction, to somewhere around 1996, when the Treasury building moved out and went into that building, which is on the corner of Central Street and Church Street. That building was the former Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. I think we have Mrs. Bradshaw Keynes with us now. Welcome, Mrs. Keynes. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
And how are you today?
I'm fine, thanks. Fine, thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us. And I hope you can give us some interesting facts and information today that the public would be interested in. So maybe you can introduce yourself. I already told them that you're the Executive Director of the St. Christopher National Trust. Anything you'd like to add?
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Okay.
Yes.
I was just giving a little rundown of the building, the Treasury building, but I want to first give people a little idea of the difference between the Brimstone Hill Fortress National Park Society and the St. Christopher National Trust, because for some reason I think a lot of people get mixed up with those two institutions, sometimes thinking they're all one and the same. So, for example, people would call the Brimstone Hill and say, is this the National Trust? Or that they want to talk to something about the National Trust. And we say, well, no, Brimstone Hill is not the National Trust. You have to call the National Trust. So, essentially, let me first say, Brimstone Hill is mostly, as the name suggests, Brimstone Hill Society is mostly concerned with matters related to Brimstone Hill. Okay? So, if it's outside of Brimstone Hill, then you're dealing with the National Trust. The National Trust now deals with all sites, issues, matters related to heritage, culture, environmental matters, and so on of St. Kitts, and so it's called the St. Christopher National Trust. Would you like to give a more detailed idea of exactly what the National Trust does?
Well, the National Trust has an act, that the 2009 Act, that guides what we do. And I noticed you use the word all. And honestly, with the proper resources, I wish it could be all. And the other thing is, I wish for the day that when you said that people would think we're all the same, I really wish for the day that we all could be the same, in the sense that, because you know, we almost do the same work. We do. And I want to say, too, that we do partner, because, Mr. Hanley, you know, you represent the Brimstone Hill Society on our board. So we are partners, and
Yes.
we work for the common good.
Undoubtedly, we are partners, yes.
But, sorry, what I would like to, and I do get calls, too, about other areas. Let's say, and I'm going to bring the Berkeley Memorial, the clock, or I might get questions about, let's say, the square But I want to say that even though we are here to help, because right now I am all ears with a group of ladies who are looking at a windmill that I think it's somewhere around Newton Round. And they came to me to help. And so I am not one who is just limited, but the Act speaks to these sites. The National Museum, where we are housed, the old Treasury Building. I said the old Treasury Building, sorry, that houses the National Museum, the Mukti Research and Documentation Center. And then we have the Amerindian petroglyph sites in Stone Fort Gut. We have the Spooner's Ginnery site, the Belmont Estate Yard and Buildings, the Mansion Estate Yard and Buildings, and then, as I said, other monuments, buildings, and sites which may from time to time be donated to or vested. And then also another vested site is a property known as Charles Fort, located at Cleverly Hill in the town of Sandy Point. So we do have those vested sites, but we are open to receiving any other monuments and buildings that would be vested in us from time to time.
Great. Now, I know in some countries, the National Trust there, they play a significant role in, one, identifying buildings, sites, and so on that are of national, historic, and cultural interest. And once they are identified as such and recognized to be of national significance, they are then granted a label designating them as national heritage sites. Is there any such project in St. Kitts? Is the National Trust interested in identifying sites that are of national interest and making sure that they are given a designation which offers them a certain amount of protection to ensure that they are kept a certain way, that they have rules that will say XYZ can't be done to them, or they cannot be demolished, or they cannot be removed, or defaced, or renovations made to them that are not in keeping with the rules that are set? Is there anything like that?
Yeah, Mr. Hanley, that everything, there's protocol and there are procedures to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we continually have discussions with the various ministries.
Mm-hmm.
We have, as you identified before, we have the Ministry of Environment.
Mm-hmm.
We have even tourism, the Ministry of Tourism, and you and I have sat together in discussions with the Ministry of Tourism because we are part of the conversations at all times. Also, there is the UNESCO part of it that we're also part of discussions with them. And we constantly identify, but the bottom line is, and we also offer our, give our input as to procedures, what we would like to see. But at the end of it, the sites have to be vested in us for us to have that final say.
What about, I think there was some years ago, there was a project that the National Trust was undertaking where there was a list of, I think it was over about 100 sites that were identified as of national interest and were being put on a list and being catalogued and so on for future reference and protection. Has that project been halted, or is it still ongoing?
It's not a project that I am aware of since I came on board,
yeah,
Mr.
it was before
Hanley.
your time. Yes.
And you would understand and realize that when I came on board in 2022, one of the major projects that needs a team that I am faced with is the project of the restoration of the old Treasury building.
Yes.
Not that we're not doing other jobs, or not that we're not paying attention to other projects. Because, for instance, when I came on, we continued the project carried out by UNESCO to identify other sites other than Brimstone Hill to be labeled as World Heritage Sites. And to my knowledge, based on the information I've received, we now know that the Charles Fort, the Schooners, and the petroglyphs, they're on the short list. So this is another project that we're involved in.
Yes, so
but
they won't be referred to as UNESCO World Heritage Sites though yet.
No.
They're being put on what is called a tentative list. So
right.
each country will have heritage, or let's say World Heritage Sites, but you are still encouraged to keep what is called a tentative list, looking for sites that have some potential to actually become World Heritage Sites. But then
right.
You cannot bring them to World Heritage status unless they first appear on the tentative list. And so those three sites, as you said, were identified as possible sites for consideration. And you could list them again for the listeners. Which ones they were?
Yes, it's Charles Fort, the Schooners, Cotton Ginnery, and the petroglyphs.
Okay. And the petroglyphs is the area located in the Stone Fort.
Stone Fort.
Or Bloody River area.
Stone Fort, yes. Sir. Stone Fort Gut.
Okay.
The Amerindian petroglyph site.
Good. Now, you mentioned, of course, that one of your focuses right now is the old Treasury building. And I think the public is well aware that this building has been cordoned off as a construction site for some time now, but nothing appears to have been done. Like there was a start and then a stop. Could you tell us about that project and what is happening?
Okay, Mr. Hanley, I want to refer the public, because I don't want to be redundant.
Right.
And I want to refer the public to the press release that was circulated. As a matter of fact, 7 days ago, to be exact, last Friday, we had a press conference and we invited all of the media houses at the Marriott Hotel, where the president actually read the press release, and it has been circulated. It's also available to persons on our Facebook page. So people by now should know why things halted. It was a matter of availability of funding. And I want to make it clear, because I have seen the comments myself. It's not that any funds disappeared, but the funds were not available in 2024. But I'm going to, my job here today is to bring the good news.
Right.
Last Friday, we explained. Now today, I'm here to tell the good news. And I want to apologize. The reason I'm not sitting with you and they're not able to see me is because I'm on hold right now to go to the airport to pick up the engineer who is coming for us to work through the weekend to get the place inspected. Why? And on that plane with her as well is another member of the team of contractors. And guess what? The contractors are here. Work is happening as we speak. I know right now, I just got off the phone with the contractor, Justin Charles from Pavanir, and they had trucks that were removing some of the stuff, the rubble, that they continue to remove to be able to do the restoration work. So they are here.
So the good news is that the contractors are here and that work has recommenced. And
yes, sir.
What is the estimated time to completion?
I will not say that now, because after the engineer comes and we go and do the inspections, which she's hoping to be there from this evening right into tomorrow, because she leaves on Monday, and then we will all sit and look, because we do have to address the new schedule. There is a new schedule, but we cannot, finalize it until that inspection is done. And when that is completed, and I have my expert, Mr. Lindbergh Alvaranga from BOA, sit and we sign off on the new schedule, then we can go to the public and say, this is the committed date of completion.
Okay. That's understood and clear. So, but the good thing is that the project has now restarted, and so the public can expect to see work going on. So,
not can expect, Mr. Hanley. Work has started. They have been here now. They have been here 2 days, and I'm pretty sure we did mention that in the press conference. I know that Mr. Alvarango mentioned it, that they were en route here. So they're actually here.
Okay. Yes, and I spoke with the contractor because they did some work for us at Brimstone Hill, so we have a good relationship with that company. They are Pavineer restoration company, very experienced and well-known company out of Trinidad. They work regionally on the restoration and maintenance of historical buildings and monuments. They did a job for us at Brimstone Hill because we had a situation there where the wall of what we call the Oiland Bastion, a round wall, collapsed. And it's a very important retaining wall. And so we were faced with the dilemma of getting this wall put back in place. But of course, we couldn't just get cement and so on and just slap it back in place. We had to go through a full procedure where we got engineers to look at the situation, make recommendations, and then the work was done accordingly. And of course, at Brimstone Hill, we have to ensure that we use the right materials. And so we used the same stone that fell out of the wall. We used the same stone to put back. And instead of using modern cement, Portland cement, we used the traditional method that was used at Brimstone Hill, which is the use of lime for the mortar. And so they came in and they had to, the parts that didn't fall, they were in a condition where they couldn't stay, so they had to actually take those out too, up to a certain point, and then rebuild it almost from scratch right up to the top. And this is a wall that's like maybe about 6 feet thicker at the base and coming up to about maybe 2 feet at the top, 2 to 3 feet at the top. Very hefty and significant wall. But over the years, the pressure, the pressure of soil and what we call hydrostatic pressure, which is the water within the walls, created so much force that it caused the wall to crack, and over time it eventually collapsed. But right now we are convinced that we have a very strong rebuild of the wall, and we wish to thank Pavineer for assisting us in getting it back to good shape.
Yes.
So we are looking forward to good things from them with the Treasury Building.
Yes. Yes, and we are too. That's why they're here. That's why they're here. And I must say that, we already have more than enough of the limestone to do the work properly.
Right. Yes.
So, and, the first conversation that I had with the contractor after he landed and I turned over the keys to him is, I know you want your place, so I know you need, because I need a home. I need my home to go back to. I need to get back into that building so we can continue to do the work. And we know, Mr. Hanley, and I'm going to bring it up now, we know, Mr. Hanley, that once we have done the good faith restoration of the outside, then I have to say our work, my work as the ED and our work as a board, our work as a trust, we now have to look at the inside, right, and get that ready to open up, to continue the work of our heritage. I want to say to you that I rather love the title Heritage Matters. Heritage Matters. Because I want to say this, take this opportunity to say, Mr. Hanley, I took this job, and you sat and you interviewed me. I took this job because I think my background, I was raised in a home where I heard about my history and the heritage, the importance of our heritage all my life growing up, and as a teacher. And my passion for our history and heritage, that's the reason I took this job. And so I want to commend you, because I think it's our job to let people know how important it is to us, our roots, our identity. It's important for continuity and wisdom. It's part of our cultural pride, our empowerment, social cohesion. This should inspire us for our future. And its preservation of our diversity. So all of these things, Mr. Hanley, I want to encourage persons to support us, join us, and ask the questions. There are reasons. We don't just stop things because we want to stop. We all understand how it is with funding, even with our personal lives. Sometimes we start a project and we have to wait until we say the money flows. You understand?
Yes.
So I want us all as nationals to empathize and to support, come out and support the trust. Because a lot of us, Mr. Hanley, sometimes I'm sending out emails at 1 o'clock in the morning to the board. A lot of us spend sleepless nights putting this thing together. And I'm happy to say it's happening, because I was determined it was not going to just stop.
Yeah, and the building itself is a very prominent and important landmark in the Bastille landscape. In fact, if we go back in history, we will know that building and that arch through the middle of it served as a very important edifice in the days when ocean travel was the dominant way to travel.
Yes.
When we didn't have airports and other ways to get here, people traveled from England by ship. And through to the other islands. You had these boats we call the what was the name of them again?
The Federal.
The Federal boats.
Talking about the Federal.
Yes, the Federal
Maple.
Maple.
I can say, Mr. Hanley,
and the Federal
as
Express.
A child, yes. As a child, 3 years old, I went aboard one with my mother to see her off with my two brothers.
And where they were heading to?
She was going to join her husband, my stepfather. So I've lived it.
Okay. And of course,
also as a child,
to leave, you had to go through that gate. That was
through that gate. Yes.
That was the exit and entrance to St. Kitts. You had to come through there. So when you came to that gate, you were then entering into St. Kitts.
Yes.
And so that's if you notice, it has some of the largest and most prominent gates in the island, and those gates were equally important in the whole fabric of our travel in these islands. You exited and you entered St. Kitts through those gates. So it's literally the gateway to and from St. Kitts.
Yes. It is.
Yeah,
it is.
And so that's important.
And I mean, I'm sure you remember we didn't end the day at the park or at any function, sports day, anything, without going down to the pier.
That is correct. Even school,
right?
When you finish school,
yes.
Instead of heading straight home, it was like a ritual. You head down, people from Bastille High School, you'll head down Victoria Road, then down 4th Street, it was a lime. You head down 4th Street, all the way down to the Treasury Building. You walk through there, you walk onto the pier, and I'm going to give a little explanation of that when I'm done here. You walk down to the pier, you spend a few minutes enjoying the waves and so on, and the breeze. Then you turn around and you head back up 4th Street, or whichever direction you live. You head either to Newtown or to Irishtown or to Dorset or whatever part of Bastille
Market Street,
you live. And so it was almost a daily ritual. And as you say, even when you had football matches, when the football match is over, people didn't just disperse and go home. They took that pilgrimage down Victoria Road, down the 4th Street, through the Treasury Building, onto the pier, and then you dissipated home. And I'll add a little one.
Added the memorial.
That's what I was just going to say, was adding a little one where those who consider themselves lovers, they then took a next route, which took them west along the Bay Road towards the Cenotaph and around the fort, you know. And
even if we weren't lovers, we did it too, Mr. Hanley.
You did it too,
I remember after Sunday school.
It used to be said that if a guy took a girl around to the fort, that means he's serious about her. You know?
Okay.
So it was a kind of sign of further allegiance when you took that trip. Yes. So and I was saying I'd make an explanation of the pier. I know that our generations who exist now only know of Bastia with Port Zante. In other words, that area where you have all these cruise ships coming in, and where you have all the shops and restaurants and that sort of thing down there. What many of them don't know is that is only a very recent development. I think it might have been somewhere in the 90s that Port Zante is what we call reclaimed the land. It was dredged from the sea, and the soil piled up there to create a new extension to Bastia. But prior to that, right in front of that Treasury Building, there was a pier, and that's where the boats came and went from St. Kitts to Nevis, and from the other Caribbean islands. The small boats we call sloops and the ferries and so on. That's where the Christina left when it had its last voyage, where it left from and used to come to.
Yes. I can, for my story, I know I was waiting for you to talk about, I don't know if you were daring enough, but even though we went on the pier, we wouldn't look down, because remember, the boards, there was a space between the boards, and it felt like you would fall through, right? Well, so we would walk on pretending to be brave. But I can relate some of the stories that I get from my son, who is now 51 years old. He's going to be 52 this month, actually.
Okay.
And he grew up for his first 10 years here in St. Kitts, in Market Street. Mm-hmm. And when he told me some stories, he's like, Mom, I learned to swim off that pier.
Yep.
The guys from Market Street would take me down when you didn't know, with my grandmother. Mm-hmm. They would throw me over, and I had to swim for my life.
Yes.
And also he would tell me about the mangoes that they got from those boats that came down from Nevis.
Right.
And I'm like, what? But that was life.
Yes.
I've mentioned to some people in meeting them here, oh, my son, and they're like, we know your son. We did roller skate. There was a roller skate troupe that practiced right behind here on the terminal. And I remember him being in that troupe when he was a little boy, with the roller skates that had, the training wheels, etc. And there was some type of guard. But they had a troupe called the roller skate. I don't remember what the name of it was. But there's so much
and then
to remember.
When Easter came, you used to have the Easter waterfront festivities kind of stuff, where
right there
you had the greasy pole that used to be extended from the pier. In recent years, they have now been using the ferry terminal, as we call it, but it used to be originally by the pier in front of the Treasury Building. And as you say, youngsters, you only sort of either learned or got your swimming wings or swimming feet or swimming arms, whatever you want to call it, by jumping off of the Treasury Pier.
You're swimming life, because as I said, it was to save you. You went over there, you had to swim for your life.
Yeah.
And so
And
It has a
you never
lot.
heard of anybody
Even
drowning there, despite the fact that it was a throw and survive kind of culture in the sense
yes,
that,
yes,
but
yes.
because
Yeah,
everybody looked
never
out for
heard of.
everybody, if they threw somebody over
Yes,
and they were
that's it.
struggling,
That's
then
it.
everybody will
That's
jump over
it.
and assist them, you know?
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And then there was another pier to the left of it, facing the sea,
Yes.
in front of what is now the Pelican Mall. That was the cargo pier now. That's where the products came, the stuff from the cargo ships came in through there, and you had the customs building. Part of the building that now houses the Pelican Mall was part of the customs warehouse that handled the goods that came and went through that port. And so there were two piers. We used to call that one the long pier, right? The long pier was the one that went out from the area by Pelican Mall, and the short pier, which was the regular passenger service pier, that was in front of the old Treasury building. So I hope that the youngsters who are listening will now realize what it was like before, and rather than what it is now, which is a big port, a big area of land that is pushed out, and then we now have replacing the ferry and communications area. We now have ports and what we call it, the ferry terminal, which is where the ferries and so come in. Also, when the cruise ships came in, there were much fewer then, but when the cruise ships came in, or any boats like warships and so on, they would send their passengers in by tender. That's smaller boats from the ship, and they would also come into that pier. Even when the Queen visited us in what I think was 1966 and so on, they came by the royal yacht. They anchored off in the harbor, and they were then brought to shore by the tenders from the ship. They laid red carpet on the pier. I guess that helped to hide those gaps in the pier. And as you mentioned, there are a lot of people who are morbidly afraid of walking on those piers, because I don't know why. I was never inclined to be that way, but most people, for some reason, seem to feel they'll fall through. Now the gap is only about 1 inch or so between each board, But I don't know why people feel they'll fall through that 1 inch gap. But people would be high stepping and trying to pick out each board to step on. But it was an experience, a learning experience for many, and sometimes a way to allay your fears, because if you want to travel on the boats and so on, you had to go over it. So you had to either shut your eye or look up and not down to traverse those piers. Yeah, so great memories there. With the restoration, what kind of work is expected? Hello? Hello? Seems as though we might have lost her. I see her calling back.
I lost you. I'm calling back, but I'm not getting you.
Yeah, I have you on the phone here, but call back the number you called earlier.
Yes, I'm calling.
Yes,
Okay,
call back the number. Yes, so Mrs. Bradshaw got temporarily disconnected, so she's going to call back and join us again shortly. So right now, while we're getting reconnected, we'll take a commercial break, and we'll be right back on Heritage Matters.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Too often, customers are counted but not valued, like mere numbers, statistics, transactions. But at Flow, we're rewriting the rules and prioritizing you, our valued customers, who have been with us through every milestone, every moment. That's why we're putting our money where your loyalty is. Flow customers claim your $600 gift card when you add internet to your current postpaid plan. Because loyalty isn't a one-way street. At Flow, loyalty flows both ways.
Hey kids, it's chubby time!
I had to go to school and learn and play with my friends too.
Every day is fun day, 'cause I love my chubby, chubby. Chubby, 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 chubby. Lots of flavors for me to choose. Every day they keep me cool. It fits my handmade just for me. Everybody loves chubby. Chubby, 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 chubby. Every day is fun day. Chubby.
This April, TDC Home and Building Depot is turning green. Get 20% off energy-efficient and eco-friendly products from April 7th to 30th. Plus, during Earth Week, April 16th to 22nd, win energy-saving bulbs and reusable shopping bags. Join us for product demos and expert consultations. Make the switch. We're going reusable. Go green with TDC Home and Building Depot. Hurry in or visit us online today at shoptdcgroup.com. TDC. Together we succeed.
Okay, welcome back to Heritage Matters, and I think Mrs. Bradshaw Keynes has been able to rejoin us. And
Yes, thank you.
yes.
I'm so sorry. I just couldn't hear you.
yes, I
Yes,
don't know
sorry.
what all you heard before we left, but I was actually talking about when the Queen came. Did you hear that part? When the
No, I didn't hear that part.
When the Queen came in 1966, she was
Yes.
anchored off in her royal yacht, Britannia, I think it was. And then
Yes.
she was brought ashore by tender along with the royal party, which included
Yes.
Prince Philip, which was her husband, and the rest of
Yes.
the royal party. And then they went on a tour of St. Kitts through Bastille and St. Kitts and so on.
Yes.
And I remember all the people lining the streets with their flags, their British flags waving, because at that time, of course, St. Kitts was still a British colony. And
Yes.
so everyone was showing their patriotism to the Queen and to England and that sort of thing, which of course was expected then. People were sprucing up their houses before the arrival of the Queen because they wanted to make sure that when the Queen passed by their home, that it looked presentable, well painted and
Yes.
and,
Yes.
and so on. And everybody came out in their nice clothes and lined the streets. The school children came in their uniforms with their flags to wave and so on and so on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the hats and the gloves.
ladies in
And
their hats
well,
and
I
the
had the
gloves.
privilege because of my dad that I was there with him
Yes.
and my grandmother.
Uh-huh.
And so we had to wear our hats and our gloves
Right,
and
right.
courtesy to meet the Queen, yes.
So you were part of the St. Kitts royalty who had to meet the Queen.
Well, I wasn't royalty. I never consider myself royalty. I'm down to earth, Mr. Mr. Hanley, and that's the way I was raised.
Well, I put those in
To
inverted
be
commas.
humble and down to earth. And so, but those are moments that you cherish.
Yes, yes. I
Because,
remember.
yes, I'm grateful for my dad, yes.
Nice. And of course, we always honor him and his contribution that he made to St. Kitts and Nevis. And
Thank you, sir.
yeah.
Thank you.
So you mentioned that you are anxious to get back to your building, to your place of business, your business home. But there might be many people who are wondering, so where are you now?
Okay. We're in survival mode. Because what we survive. We do what we have to do. We recently got a spot, and I said spot, well, 2 spots up at the National Youth Park, and we're grateful to all persons who welcomed us. We have set up a gift shop there, and we are in the process of setting up a small museum there, working along with what they have, which would be 5 kiosks of the 5 national heroes. So it's still a work in progress there. And so we are telling persons, be ready for September 16th when we will have the grand opening of everything because it's National Heroes Day as well. But I do a lot of, moving around. If persons need me, persons can come to me. I have an apartment next door that's empty. So I have private meetings there because, as I say, I share spaces with them up at the National Heroes Park. And so when I'm doing things that are sensitive, I would there, or if I have to go out and meet persons. And I can't overlook thanking when we closed down. We were also here at that apartment, but we were given a room at the chamber where persons could come and meet us. Right.
That
yes, the chamber. Yes,
Road?
yes. Yes, yes. But so we have been surviving, and that we will. But I know that it makes a difference when you're in one place and people can just walk off the streets downtown, or even the tourists, they can come right off the ships there at Port Zante. Even though I cannot overlook thanking the tour guides who bring them there as well. And we're going to be appealing, and we're appealing already to them to start bringing them to the gift shop. And later we would enhance that museum, and so we can have tours there, and also the schools. I've had conversations with recently with administrators from even Nevis, welcoming them and telling them, listen, keep an ear out. We will be coming to let everybody know that we're up and open. But as I said, we have our phone numbers, which are always open, and I carry the phone 24 hours with me. And I can give the numbers now.
Yes, do.
They are 465 5584, sorry. 465 5584. Is that right?
Yes.
662 5548.
So the 662 is 5548 or 5584?
Okay, let me give you the numbers again. It's 465 5584. 662 5548. We transpose the 8 and the 4 there.
Right. That's what I was noticing.
And the other cell, 662 8743.
Okay, so if anyone
and because
is
even
interested
though we
in
have
getting
that landline, because we're not at the old Treasury building, we have it on our cell phones, and we have those with us 24/7.
Okay, good. So if anyone wants to contact the National Trust, those are the
Anytime.
numbers that they would need to call.
Yes, Mr. Hanley,
Okay.
anytime.
That sounds wonderful. So right now you're located at the Heroes Park in the building near the entrance. You're occupying space there. And as you said, you have a small version of your gift shop established
Yes,
there,
sir.
where folks can come and get memorabilia and souvenirs and whatnot. This formed a part of your existence when you were at the National Trust building, the old Treasury building. There was a sizable gift shop there where visitors and locals would come to get stuff. And it had an interesting supply of unusual books, not only on history, but on nature, birds, flowers, plants, etc., that were being sold there. I bought quite a few books from the National Trust because they were the only people who had them locally, and they are interesting and important books. You also had a selection of paintings on display and so on. And then, of course, upstairs you had the National Museum, where you displayed items of history and culture and heritage in your display rooms. Could you tell me a little bit about one of the interesting displays that you had there?
That we had there?
Yes, at the
had in the past.
Yeah, because it's not there anymore.
Well, more than one, because there was the part where we had a lot of our artists, our famous artists, singers, musicians, local artists, and then there was the part where we had the Christina room. We had the history of the Christina. And also, what I love is the local history. And that's what we are going to be putting up at the Heroes Park, because we are going to tie it in to the history of the national heroes who are up there. Right? So, and I must say, I have persons who have the institutional knowledge, like Tony Frederick Armstrong and Jackie Amony,
Yes.
who are working along with me. And I'm also including Mr. Gums, who is already at the National Heroes Park, but I'm including him because it's a partnership. So we will be setting up that museum. I'm waiting for the renderings that are being done for us, always pro bono by Ponsonia Ogaro of Brisbane, Ogaro, and Alvaranga, the architectural group. And so we will be setting that up. And we also will be collaborating, the National Heroes Park staff and us, to do tours. So you not only will come to the gift shop and the museum, but you will be able to have tours in the park itself, because we want to bring some life to it. And we want to, because the history there is connected to the history in the museum.
Yes, yes. And I recall on a number of occasions there were some special exhibits. Like, for example, I think one Emancipation Day we had an exhibition on emancipation or on slavery. And there was a collaboration with the National Archives, and they produced a copy, an actual physical copy of what I think was the slave registry, a register of slaves in St. Kitts that gave the names and which estates they were in, and at that time what their ages and sex were, and in some instances where they came from, what country, whether it was New Guinea or from Ghana or whatever, in West Africa where they originally came from. Do you recall that, or that was before your office? Hello? Hello?
Mr. Hanley?
Ah, okay.
Can you hear this phone ringing, sir?
I think I'm hearing
Hello?
you. I'm hearing you online.
Can you hear my phone ringing?
No.
Okay, I'm glad you're not, because that's the engineer calling me. So, but I'm going to call her back. So I thought you could hear it. I wanted to apologize if you were getting any, because I didn't want to seem like I was not paying any attention to what I was, doing with you. I might have missed a word or two, sir. So we talked about the registry. Yes, I'm aware of that. And quite recently, again, we had Faces of Our People that we used some of the pictures that we had from the past.
Yes,
and,
I remember
we
that
had
one.
people come. Yes, yeah. So but I know, I can assure you, Mr. Hanley, and I can assure the public that our display, our little museum, is going to be very effective when we get it up and running and ready to open in full blast for September 16th, God's willing.
Nice.
I know persons might say September 16th, that's a long time, but if you're going to do things properly, we need to have it properly curated. We're waiting for the design so that we can get the proper displays in, etc. So that's what we're working on now.
That's wonderful. And
Yes, sir.
where you hope to have that, at the Heroes Park or?
Heroes Park. The Heroes Park has two buildings.
Yes. Yes.
So right now, when you come in, if you walk in the gate, after you've checked in with security, on the right, that's where the office for the gentleman in charge of the Heroes Park is, and then outside we have our gift shop.
Okay.
And then to your left, when you're walking in, that's where they have the kiosks, and that's where we are going to be adding our local history.
Okay.
And I'm hoping, I must say here, that there's one thing that I have in mind, that when we step out into the park, that we would be able to have little signs, some signage. So, for instance, we have a sign of Brimstone Hill, a little teaser about Brimstone Hill, a little teaser about the petroglyphs, a little teaser about Charles Fort, a teaser of other various
Spooner's Gin.
places to visit, or even of the train,
Yes.
so that when tourists come to visit, they can ask. It would encourage them to go on and visit these other places. So not only would they be just walking through the park, just looking at the statues, but we would have some signage. And this is something I have to get permission, of course, with the persons at the park to do this. But it's one of my, because then it would be incorporating, it would be telling not just about us, but what we have to offer on the outside.
Nice. So folks can look forward to that exhibition coming up for Independence.
Yes, sir.
2025. Yes, and I expect you might even come for a while on Heritage Matters to tell the public when it's ready, and inviting them to come out. Now, one of the things I remember you said earlier that you were encouraging the public to support the National Trust. In what ways can the public be of support to the National Trust?
Okay. I know we have a large number of members, but I understand life, Mr. Hanley, and I know every member wants to see this project done. Every member wants to be able to walk in to the old Treasury building again and visit. But know that I've come on with the good news. I'm asking the members to come in or pay their membership. You can pay online, or you can come to visit us at the National Heroes Park. Just call us. Or if you want us to come and meet you somewhere. We do a lot of that now, Mr. Hanley, because we know we have to be flexible.
Yes.
Right?
Because not everybody can get to Heroes Park as easily.
Right. So we're willing to collect, or they can go online, and they can pay the membership. The other thing, I am asking for the support of all. I want us to spread the positive story. Spread the positive story. I'm also looking for I'm looking for persons who make local products to reach out to us, because we want to support the local artisans, etc. We're looking for things like even sugar cakes, guava cheese, hot sauce. Not just the paintings, but and come and talk to us. We are branding. We are looking at branding items. A lot of the stuff we are buying now have the logos. So if we have any local craftsmen, reach out to us.
Okay. And you spoke about people paying up their membership, but what we also need to do is encourage people who aren't members to join the National Trust as a member, because those funds would go towards the assistance of the National Trust in its efforts at preserving our culture, history, and heritage. Anything you can give us on membership details?
Yes, Mr. Hanley. We want to encourage new members as well. And also I want to reach out to our committee members, people who signed up to serve on committees, to just call us and find out how you can help. Now, last year we had a promotion, and I must say that we are trying to get away from the word members and to call ourselves ambassadors.
Okay. Interesting.
Right? Ambassadors. So I have a deal. If anybody, what date is it today, Mr.? Is it the 11th?
Today's the 11th.
Right. If anybody pays his or her membership by now and April 30th, you can get a free ambassador shirt.
Okay. That
These
sounds
shirts
good.
are $20 US each, but I would be willing to give you one free.
Okay, so I hope everybody hears that. Pay your membership fee for the National Trust or become a member and you'll get an ambassador shirt because you'll now become
And it's
an
still
ambassador.
$100. Hasn't gone up.
Okay, so it's just
And
$100.
even the lifetime members. I'm appealing to the lifetime members because we know we have lifetime members who paid their money years and years ago. But you're asking if you can give a donation. But, a donation of about $100, you can get your shirt.
Okay, wonderful.
They're very nice shirts. And they do have a picture of the archway in front of the,
Okay. Ms. Bratcher, we're going to take a commercial break now. And so when we return from our commercial break, we'll continue on Heritage Matters.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 Win FM.
Here are your hosts for Value Mart IGA specials.
Running April 3rd to April 16th.
Now, our Value Club Blue Tag specials. Mueller's pastas are just $5.99 each. Banquet chicken nuggets and tenders just $24.99. Blue ribbon ice cream, $32.99. Essential everyday frozen vegetables, $5.99. Morningstar meatless entrees, just $20.99. Tide liquid detergent, $34.99. And now our very low weekly
Value deals. Suavitel fabric softener, $17.99. The Pearl pancake mixes, $11.99. Malt-to-meal bagged cereals, $17.99. All El Paso taco shells and tortilla shells, $9.99. The Colgate toothpaste, $6.99. Colgate toothbrush, soft and medium, $4.99. Shop Smart, Shop Value Mart. Tell them in Spanish.
sea listo y haga sus compras aquí en
Value Mart.
Okay, good. No. Yes, folks, welcome back to Heritage Matters. We just back from a commercial break. And so we were talking about membership and encouraging people to become members or ambassadors of the St. Christopher National Trust by taking out a membership, which is only $100. Your membership fee is per year to support the work and the interest of the National Trust. Mrs. Bradshaw Keynes just made an offer where she said that if anyone pays, I don't remember the date, but she can remind us that they can get a free ambassador shirt. Mrs. Bradshaw. Hello?
Yes, that's what I said, sir. It's a beautiful T-shirt that has I am an ambassador. And so not just a member, but an ambassador. And it also has a picture of the archway which you spoke about.
Yes.
The importance of that building, the archway. And so I am willing to give one free to any member who pays his or her, any new member who signs on and pays between now and April 30th.
April 30th.
All they have to do is they can WhatsApp us. The numbers we gave, 662-8743. Or the 662-5548. And let us know. We can guide them if they want to pay online on our site. They can pay if they went on to our Facebook and I think also the website. But we do have it's set up there for them to make payments.
Okay.
And we will recognize, and they can even just shoot us a WhatsApp to say, hey, I just paid my payment.
Right. So if
We
they
do not
paid,
have that because,
how do they
send us a
collect their
notice.
shirt and their membership card?
What we will do is we'll get them a receipt because that too we're in the process of getting membership cards. We don't have those yet, but we would give them a receipt. And if they pay online, National Bank sends us the information so we can give them a printout of that.
Yes.
Or if they want us to meet them somewhere, we will come, give them a receipt for the $100, and they can tell us what size shirt.
Okay.
And we will deliver the shirt.
Okay. Nice. Nice. So, to the public out there, you heard the offer. And let us throw our support behind National Trust. They're doing interesting and important work in the Federation to preserve our history, our heritage, and our culture. And so we would want to throw our support behind them. The National Trust
I just
doesn't...
want to say something, Mr.
Sure,
Hanley,
go
because
right
I
ahead.
stand behind my word, and I know me. I'm alert when I'm listening, and I'm sure personally might be saying, well, I thought she said she was only going to be with you for a short while.
Yes.
But I don't know if you noticed again, the phone rang. That was the engineer. Unfortunately, the airport in Trinidad was closed today because of some emergency.
Yes.
So the flight that should have left this morning, for her to have been here at 10:55, she's just boarding.
Okay.
So she was, alerting me to let me know. So that's why I'm able to sit.
Okay. Well, I am
Well,
sorry.
believe me, I'm here doing back and forth communication, writing letters, immigration, everybody, to let them know they're coming, working on getting other specialists on site for tomorrow because we need to take down all of those ACs, electrical wires. So I'm sitting here talking to you, Mr. Hanley, but I'm going. I'm working.
I know how it goes. I'm similar to that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I was saying I'm sorry that she is delayed, but at the same time I'm happy that it gives you the opportunity to stay on a little longer with me because we had only anticipated maybe over the first hour.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that
Stay
you
here,
are
though.
able
The
to
delay
stay.
is not going to stop the work. She knows. She gets in this afternoon. Whenever we're going to pick up, sit down, plan, and then instead of working half day, she was supposed to do a half day today and a half day tomorrow.
Yes.
It's all day tomorrow. Into whatever time of night. And then Sunday, it will be meetings all day. If you have to go, of course, we'll be back on site on Sunday and meetings because she has to leave on Monday. But then, to get her report to us. But it's going to get done. No matter what, it's going to get done.
And I'm going to be looking anxiously at the project as it goes on. And I'm looking to see the sparkling, brand new second-hand building that will emerge once the renovations are completed. I'm really anxiously looking forward to it because right now it looks very dingy and dilapidated. But I believe I can assure the public that when it's done, the building will be a very brilliant edifice in Bastia and something we should be able to be proud of and can become the subject of photography as it used to command before. It makes an excellent background when you're doing pictures from the circus. And even the building itself has a beautiful edifice in Bastia. And just to inform people.
Yes, me too.
Many people.
Mr. Hanley?
Yeah.
My service, right? My service. When I came on board, it was in that condition, right?
Yeah.
With the exception of the extended hoarding, which is for safety. But if I was afraid of this project, I wouldn't have taken the job. And so it is something that I'm passionate about. It is something that I have committed to. And I want to make it clear, committed to the trust. To the trust. Because it is in the trust's hands. And so I, just like everybody else, I want to see it done.
And we're
I
grateful
really want to see it done.
for that approach, and we're grateful that we have somebody who is passionate about it and really anxious to get it going and completed. And we're really looking forward to that. So, folks, as you travel in that area, just keep your eyes out for the fact that it's a construction site. The hoarding is, of course, necessary to protect you from construction work. It's a requirement for buildings that are under any kind of construction in such a zone, and therefore it's necessary. So the inconvenience that you've been experiencing of not being able to walk on the sidewalk there and so on is necessary because of the requirement for safety purposes. But we're hoping that once the work goes on and is completed, that eventually you'll have the sidewalk back, you'll have a beautiful building to admire and to go into and to see all the new exhibits and how it is rearranged and organized. And you'll get a beautiful idea of what that building would have looked like in its heyday. I remember you had to go there for so many things. All the things that you have, many buildings that we have separate extensions for, like, the inland revenue and the treasury and the licensing and so on. They were all done right there.
Thanks.
But we have a caller, so we're going to open the line. Oh, okay, caller, we seem to have lost you, so please can you call back? We will entertain your call as soon as you're back.
Yeah. And while we're waiting for the caller, Mr. Hanley, I just want to piggyback off of what you said. I just want to appeal to my people. I live every day saying we're all related in some way, right? We're connected in some way. And so we all need to be each other's keeper. And I'm appealing to my people, pedestrians and drivers alike, motorists, everybody. I know, I understand. It is a hazard, but if the boards were down, it will also be a hazard. I'm asking you just to bear with us. Please try and go across, maybe from the side of by the post office, or cross over if you know you're going down that way, down by that crossing, which is maybe by inland revenue, I think it is. But just do us a favor and do yourselves a favor, please. Cross over, and so that you can be on the other side where it's safe.
Yes.
And again, I'm asking all drivers to proceed with caution. Look out for the pedestrians, please.
Yes, very important intervention there. And I would like to add my support for that. Drivers and pedestrians, you each have a duty of care. Drivers to look after the driving part and the pedestrians. And pedestrians, remember, you have to look after yourselves too. And don't be a danger to or a nuisance to the drivers, who will be doing their best to try and make sure that they keep you safe and themselves safe. And hopefully, with time, we will have that project completed, and everyone would have the sidewalks back, and everything would be nice and rosy again. Okay, so right now we're going to take a break, commercial break, and we're back. Hopefully that caller will be calling back by the time we are back. So we'll be back on Heritage Matters after these messages.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Ready to save while you build? Now you can at Builders Paradise. Yes, shoppers, build up your Value Club points at Builders Paradise. That's right, Value Club members and shoppers, your favorite frequent buyer club is now available at the home of hardware and more. Whether you're laying tiles, painting walls, replacing doors, upgrading windows, or fixing up your home, every purchase at Builders Paradise now earns you Value Club points. Enjoy exclusive benefits like discounts on thousands of items, special savings for seniors, instant deals, quarterly rebates, plus an extra up to 2% off every quarter. Shop more, save more, earn more, only at Builders Paradise. Don't miss out. Start building your rewards today with Value Club at Builders Paradise, because every bolt, board, and brush brings you closer to bigger, better savings. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, folks, welcome back to Heritage Matters. We are back. We have our guest today, which is Mrs. Edsu Bradshaw Keynes, the Executive Director of the St. Christopher National Trust. They are at the moment undergoing renovations to the home of the National Trust and Museum, which is housed in the old Treasury building. And so that building is now the site of very energetic activity to ensure that the renovation is completed in a short time. I understand, Mrs. Keynes, that we have an extended crew to work on the building this time.
Yes, it's a larger crew. That's right. And as I was saying, on the plane with the engineer, I learned this morning that there's an additional expert coming to join the crew that's already here.
Okay.
And the contractor told me that he's bringing a larger crew. So we're looking at, with more people, we could make up for some, hopefully some lost time. I'm not making any promises because I'm not the technical person,
Yes.
right? And I'm hoping that one of these days that you can get the technical person on with us.
Well,
when
as
we
soon
are in a
as you
better
have somebody, as a matter of fact,
position
maybe
to give
even
an
after the
update.
engineer has completed her work, you can probably come and give us an update, or even call in and give us an update when that is so that the public
Yes.
can keep informed. So
Yes.
public, it is our intention to keep you well informed about the project as it progresses. And so keep your eyes and ears open for updates from time to time, because we are already proud of the work that is on the way and in anticipation of its very good conclusion. So keep your eyes and ears open. Right. Anything you have for us in other projects that the National Trust is undertaking at the moment?
Well, we have our work plan. You know, we have things that we want to do. But Mr. Hanley, I am one who believes in that you have to be very strategic with the way you attack projects. I don't like to have 2, 3, 4 projects going at the same time and getting none.
I know what
completed.
you mean. Yeah, it's
Right.
frustrating
But-
actually when you have, because you can only do a little bit on each, and then you have to skip to this, and by the time you get your head wrapped around this other one, you have to focus on another one, and then another one, and another one, and it's very distracting.
Right. And I don't function like that.
Yeah.
And so I know this project, it as I said, it was a lot of the time that it seemed like nothing was happening. The onus was on us. We were overworking. We were in overdrive here, right? Trying to get it back. So here are the fruits of our labor.
Yes.
They're back. It's
Wonderful.
being restarted. Now, of course, we have other things. I would like to see the schooners completed. I know it was started before. I would like to see that. I am hoping that maybe when I'm done with this project at the old Treasury building, and my time is up, and I step down for a younger person, maybe I can still stay on as a project person to help with that, because I would like to see the schooners. I visited similar sites and sites connected, for instance, the Snows Hill in England, that is the home of Charles Wade, who is connected to Spooners and has a home there, the remnant, you know. So this has me really interested in seeing that come to fruition. So I'm having conversations about that. As a matter of fact, I was just getting ready to write a grant, but those funds have been, they're no longer available. They're the ambassador's funds, but through the U.S. But still looking for other ways, because we need to get that completed.
Yeah.
My hope is that once our members come back on board, our ambassadors are back on board, that we can have a nice gala, a nice gala to celebrate them, right? And celebrate the trust, to let people know that the trust is still alive. And it is alive.
Good.
But it's not easy, we know that, when you're not in your own home. It's not easy. You have to, you know, conduct and behave yourselves as tenants, right? So, but again, we all want to see this done.
Yes.
So we have those projects, and we're part of INTO, which is an organization in the United States, international national trust organizations, and they have a program called RISE, where I would be looking to get someone who is interested, because I believe in, molding the youth. So if I could get somebody who is interested in doing that work, in the meantime, we are working very diligently on our financial reports. We getting ready so that we can have our AGM soon. It's a lot happening.
Yes.
A lot happening. I'm not just one. I don't get up on. I'm not one who goes around and toots a horn. Oh, I'm doing this. We're doing this. We are doing our work silently and effectively and efficiently.
And let it speak for itself.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Now, what is the how should I say, the vision for Spooner's Ginnery?
Well, I would like to see the Spooner's Ginnery be a site where it can be a tourist site, where we would have this again. I'm talking about what I would like my dream to be, but of course it has to be with involvement.
Yes.
Involvement with the locals, the persons there in Keon, the community. I need to get their buy-in, right? And also to have it fenced, and so we can finish it and see it as a place where we can have events. It has a lot of potential. We would have definitely have a place, just like some of the models that I was able to visit, where we would have a meet and greet center and a tea, and then they said the tea and the toilet, so bathroom and a place where they can have a refreshment, and it would be, and then we would do some curating to the mansion, the home that belonged to the Wades, to kind of curate it to replicate what part of it would have looked like, and as I say, have functions and the history of our cotton. The cotton ginnery, because it has a lot of history.
Right.
Mr.
So
Hanley.
I was just going to ask you, and now you throw in the word that I think a lot of people might have been asking, because you'd be surprised that there are people out there here is talking about the Spooner's Ginnery, and might be wondering, what is the Spooner's Ginnery? I've never heard of that. You'd be surprised. Can you give them an idea of what the Spooner's Ginnery is?
Well, it's as I said, it was part of the I call it an estate that belonged to the Wades, and where we had cotton that was processed. And if we go there, we can still see that there's oil. Some oil was produced, right? And Mr. Hanley, when it comes to the history, I let the experts do it. This is where I would let Mr. Warner speak to the history of the Spooner's cotton ginnery, right? I know that there was a grant that was in place to do some work, again, before my time. So, but, again, it's a historical...
to give people an idea, because some people might be wondering, what is a ginnery? And we say cotton, but it's just
ginnery,
to let them know
where
that
the seeds...
apart
the
from...
seeds were made to process, the processed oil from the seeds. But... Apart from the
production of sugar, which Senkis is so well known for, there were other crops, and cotton was one of them.
Cotton was one, yes.
And cotton was planted in the neighboring estates and so on, and they were brought to Spooners, just like the sugar cane was brought to the sugar factory in Bastia. The cotton was harvested and brought to the Spooner's Ginnery. There are machines, and all of the machines that were involved in the cotton process, cotton ginning process, and the production of cottonseed oil and all those other things are still there. And so the cotton was the main product. So how it works is that their machines, they're about what? I think it's either 3 or 4 of them right at the front, which
I'm looking
first,
and I'm trying to envision what I've seen there.
yeah, which first
around 4.
separated, they're separators. So you see
Yes.
it have like a comb-like
Yes.
structure, which
Yes.
separated the cotton from its seeds. The seeds were
Yes.
taken to another section while the cotton was moved on to be fluffed
Yes.
and baled. Baled meaning packed in huge
Acting bales, yes, yeah.
bags and compressed so that you can put as much cotton in one bale for shipping. And then, of course,
Yeah.
these were shipped to the UK for processing into clothes and
Clothing,
garments
etc.
and
Yes,
so on.
and, yeah,
And
fabric,
then
yeah,
the
bags,
seeds
yeah.
now went to another machine where they were crushed
Where we do
to
oil.
produce oil, because cottonseed oil, it used to be called cottonseed oil. And as you mentioned, there's a vat there that is still full with the last produced cottonseed oil that the factory produced when it was in operation. And the seeds now, they were then also processed to make some sort of feed, animal feed. So nothing was wasted. The
No, not at
cotton
all.
was used to make clothing. The seeds were squeezed to make oil, and the resulting seeds were then used to make animal feed. And so the area is still, the building is still full with all the machines that were part of that. So I would imagine that the trust would be trying to not only preserve, but maybe spruce up those machines so that they look presentable and have them well labeled so that people can walk through and see exactly which machine did what and how it was done. And I think it will make a very interesting museum, because that's what it will be in the end, a museum to our cotton industry. Which leads me to have to mention that I'm so disappointed that the Bastia Sugar Factory was just allowed to deteriorate the way it has, to just totally abandoned. I believe that that site could have been converted either to some other productive use or to a museum to sugar, you know, to show exactly how the processes were done and so on and so on. But, you know, I guess that's
I say I share the same sentiments, but I want to be daring and say, fortunately, unfortunately, I say fortunately for us, because then we won't have to hang our heads in shame. But unfortunately, I'm sure maybe we might have been, but again, with the proper resources, be able to save some of it. I go back to the Spooners cotton ginnery. I recently had, I know BOA, they have done a lot of work with it. They are ready and willing to assist. And I've said before, these people do a lot of pro bono work, right? So they're not in it to, you know, make money. They're really supportive. And I've had one of our local, James McCannon, went out, and I used it to do some training with some of my staff at that time when we had a larger staff, because we were downtown. But they went out with him, and they did all of the searches and made sure that we could identify the boundary. And we have a cost, and it's cost us about $200,000 to put a fence in to secure. We need to secure that place so that stray animals are not going in there, you know.
And also people from vandals from the damage in the area.
So we need, and I'm putting it out there, you know, that we need about $200,000. That's the price that came up to put a fencing around the outside of that, all around it, to protect it. And if that can happen, I'm pretty sure we can start with what we have and build on it.
Okay, now we're going to take a commercial break. And when we come back on Heritage Matters, we'll continue our discussion on the Spooners Ginnery. We'll take a break. See you on the other side.
Found the sound 98.9 FM.
Super Market shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
Okay, welcome back to Heritage Matters. And when we went to our commercial break, we were talking about the Spooner's Ginnery and the work that is envisioned to be completed there. Mrs. Bradshaw, you there still? Hello? Hello, Mrs. Bradshaw? If you're listening, please turn down your radio or the audio, whatever you're listening to. It's causing a little bit of feedback. Hello? Yeah. Okay, we seem to we have lost Mrs. Bradshaw for a moment, so we will come back shortly. Now, last program, we were with Mr. Socrates, who is involved with the Sandy Point Heritage Society, and we talked about the work they were doing there. Welcome back, Mrs. Bradshaw. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, we seem to have lost you for a bit.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
It's okay. And I'm sorry. No, you didn't. You didn't lose me. It was the project manager calling me. So the call.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Duty calls. Yes.
I'm telling you.
Yes.
Telling you.
Now I was in the meantime talking about a conversation we had on the last Heritage Matters with Ms. Socrates about the Sandy Point Heritage Society and the Charles Fort, and they themselves haven't anything to do with Charles Fort, he said, but we spoke about the history of it and what it was and so on. But I know that is also, as you mentioned earlier, one of the sites that are designated as what we call it again?
Vested site?
Yeah, one of the vested sites. And I know that they have
listed
plans.
on the list for possible World Heritage Site?
Yes, the tentative list, that is. And I know that the National Trust had plans of trying to bring that site to a state where it can be one of the sites we visited when one comes to St. Kitts, perhaps as an annex to Brimstone Hill, maybe as a separate one. And I know that the Sandy Point Heritage Society was looking into making it a part of one of the tours for tourists when they are visiting to go to the Charles Fort. Now, I know that is in abeyance right now because there are other matters, and I know and I agree with you, it's always best to focus on one thing at a time and not to dilute oneself too much in trying to deal with too many things at the same time, because that can create confusion and sometimes omission. But do you have any idea what the vision also is, just as we have for Spooners, what the vision is for Charles Fort?
Mr. Hanley, I think you just spoke about what the vision is, what we would like to see happen. But one of the things, though, and I agree that I am not going to dilute. We don't want to dilute. Mm-hmm. But we have to always remind people resources. Mm-hmm. The trust doesn't have any money. to do all of these projects. We depend on, because a small subvention. You there?
I'm going to interrupt you a bit because we have a caller.
Okay. All right.
Look as though we lost them again. Okay. We'll invite that caller to call back, please.
Yeah.
Call back as soon as you can. Go ahead, Mrs.
Right. I was saying to you that you know that we depend, based on the act, a small subvention that comes from government to help with bills, because we have bills. But because even at Spooners, I get a bill every month for electricity there. But we need resources to do these projects. So we have a lot of great ideas on paper. Where do we get our resources? We have, and I would say, 5 means. I think a 5, I'm safe by saying. The gift shop. You know, we just went through the gift shop, Mr. Hanley.
Yes.
It's down to a little gift shop. It's been closed for a long time. So we're just, as you said, catching ourselves. And we had to spend money to put merchandise in. Because a lot of the merchandise, when I got there, was merchandise that people brought their stuff, right? And we would sell and get they were consigned, a small amount, right? And it is small, based on when we compare that we have to pay for human resources, salaries, we have to pay for utilities, etc.
Okay, the caller is back, so we'll pause to take a call.
Okay.
Good day, caller. Hello, good day, caller. Good morning, caller. Hello. Looks like we may have lost him again. Of course, we'll encourage you to try again. Yes, go ahead, Mrs. Bradshaw.
So we were talking about the revenue. The museum was another form, a source of revenue, where we had the tourists and some schools and, locals. That's been closed. Membership, and everybody heard my appeal, that we need to get members to understand that we are working and we need their support. The documentation center, that's where we proudly have, and I say have, a lot of documents. But we had to put them away. We had to store them. So they're all stored away so that we can protect them.
Yes.
No, when I say protect, we even need to, and I'm talking in the future, go a step further to protect these, because we need to stay abreast with the times. A lot of these documents have to
we seem to have a caller again, so let's pause for the caller. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Hanley.
Hello, good morning. How are you today?
I'm giving thanks for life. And yourself, sir?
I am doing the same. Thank you very much.
And you have Mrs. Bradshaw?
That's correct.
A member or an ambassador of the St. Christopher Trust?
Yes, she is one of our chief ambassadors. She's the executive director.
Yes, good morning, Mrs. Bradshaw.
Good morning.
I want to make a contribution, and I love things all heritage. I'm a tour ambassador myself, within my own right, and I love such program. There is a controversial matter, though. I drove along the Challengers community, Stonefort area, and there was this huge, enormous tree. I think it's over 100 years. You, Mr. Hanley, can attest to the tree itself, because you're older than myself.
Well, I know of the tree.
In spite of the controversy, I think it's a mahogany tree in nature.
It is a mahogany tree.
It has been totally cut down. I noticed it has been cut to some extent with the branches, the branches over the years, and now it has been totally cut down. But
When you
what
say
I
totally
would
cut,
like to
right
see
down
though,
to the base, or is it still, is the trunk still
well, there
there?
are some, there are some part of it still stand, but most of the branches there are gone. What I would like to see though, the material, the wood from the tree, be preserved, reserved for when the time comes for some craftsman, someone into woodwork to craft something,
Or
a
things?
first piece of furniture that could be displayed, that could be put in one of our national park for display, nicely labeled, as you say, to let our visitors know, to let the younger generation know that this tree was a part of our heritage along the corridor going west. And here is a piece of furniture from that old 100-year-old, 200-year-old tree, or what have you, as a part of our heritage.
Do you know who was responsible for cutting it down? Was it Department of Agriculture? Was it Public Works? Who was it? Was involved?
No, not quite. I probably saw a video when it has been done, but I would like to know that tree, the material, the wood from that tree, not going into the hands of private persons, but in the hands of persons of the Heritage Trust that will come up with good ideas for that tree to be kept in our domain for posterity.
Yeah, I like that
the
suggestion.
unborn generation will come and have a discussion surrounding that tree. Because all of us could have attest to it, that the age of that tree. Unless you go to the Caribbean Boutique, you're not going to see an old tree with such a body.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So maybe something you should note it, and the right person is there listening to me. Note it, ascertain where the material of the tree gone. Make sure it doesn't really evade our minds, our attention, because this is a conversation we can have. The unborn generation can have for another 100 years, 200 years from now.
Yeah, I like that suggestion.
As a part of our heritage.
For example, I think most of the public wasn't aware that the tree was going to be cut down, so nobody could even make any kind of intervention and so on. We only know... I'm trying to avoid the controversy here, Mr. Hanley. Because there's a controversy around it. We know that. We only know that it was cut down, but I like your approach in that, well, it's cut down, but what can we do to preserve its memory? Yes.
Mr. Hanley, I would like to invite, first of all, thank you, caller. I myself,
You're
was
welcome.
not aware
I'll
of
continue
this,
to
and that's
listen.
why I said things happen, and sometimes you hear about things. I happen to, and I'm not one to be always on social media, but because I was following up the comments from the press conference we had last week, I saw it, but I wasn't even sure of what was happening. So I'm going to ask you if you can give me a call off of when we get off, of this program.
That's the call. That's the person who called you asking to give you a call?
Yes.
Okay, good.
You can call me at 662-8743.
Okay.
Because I would like to know, how I can start, where I can start. And as I said, this is the type of thing that I like. I mean, I like for us to work together. We need the community. So if you can call me when we are done with the program.
Okay. So
I want to say too that I want to put it here to him and to others. I work very professionally. I am not about the name calling, or he said, or getting involved in controversy. At the end of the day, it's what do we do the correct way to get things done. And you see, Mr. Hanley, I'm going to put it here because I am one who analyzes a lot. And sometimes when I read comments or I hear comments, I realize that we don't take the time to know what really is happening behind the scenes. Why is this not done? And sometimes our imagination gets the better of us, our assumptions. So I like to know what's happening. I don't know how, when, why this happened with the tree. And so I need to get thorough, sound, accurate information that I can then come to the board and we can make a decision as to what's the next step, what's our game plan.
Okay, yes, that's an interesting way. I think I like, as I said before, the caller's suggestion in terms of doing something with the wood from the tree rather than simply dumping it or whatever, because that's valuable mahogany. It's what we call West Indian mahogany, and it has very great properties. It's termite resistant, it's very strong, and something made out of that material can last a very, 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 very long time. And so it would be a tragedy to simply just throw away that wood, but we should find ways of utilizing the wood from the tree as much as possible. We're going to take a break right now, and we'll come back in a short while. So see you back again on Heritage Matters.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Horsford's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less and save more. How, you ask? Essential Everyday and Equiline. Spend less on our Essential Everyday products and get the best quality, the best taste, and the best value. Spend less for all your family health and beauty needs with the Equiline brand of over-the-counter products. Horsford's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less. With our Essential Everyday products and Equiline over-the-counter health and beauty care products. Shop smart and spend less at Value Mart, where price matters most.
Yes, welcome back, folks, to Heritage Matters, the last segment. And so we were talking about that large tree. And Ms. Blatcher, you had anything more to say on it? I think when we broke or took a break, you were saying something.
No, I just said that for me to take action on anything, I always want to know the facts, the how, the when, the where, the why, the what. So I had asked that caller if he doesn't mind calling me. And I don't want him to be afraid because I'm not one who gets involved in the name calling. So he can speak if he has any information that can guide me so that I can then refer to my board for us to decide what is the best way forward. But really, I know the importance of trees, and even if we were to get the bits of the trees, to put them away, and then, as we said, later look at somebody who could do something, or it could be an opportunity for an educational project.
It can be, yes, it can be turned into furniture. It can also be even done, some sculpture could be done out of it, wooden sculpture that could be long-lasting, maybe several pieces. If we're looking for something, some kind of monument to maybe even that area, because remember that area almost where that tree is located, right near the mouth of the Bloody River.
Bloody Point, Bloody River,
Yeah, maybe even some kind of statue or sculpture can be made celebrating the Kalinago. That tree was probably there from the time the Kalinago existed in the area. And so maybe some kind of sculpture honoring the existence of the Kalinago in the area can be something that can be considered. And maybe if the tree is cut down completely, replace or be put in the area where the tree was to show that this wood is a piece of that tree which existed there. maybe if we haven't done so already.
Great ideas, Mr. Hanley, but we want to be careful that people don't think we're promising, huh?
Of course, yes. So thanks for helping me to state that we it's not a promise, it's a suggestion.
Yes.
Because I don't want to meet me and say, I thought you all say you were going to do this and do that. We're just making suggestions here. But I think that that is something worth considering. And maybe if it hasn't already been done, perhaps because trees can be dated based on what we call their annular rings.
Yes,
and I believe if we have somebody knowledgeable in that area, we can get them to actually look at the trunk now that it is cut, and they can see a proper cross section of the trunk to give some indication of the exact age of that tree. It can be told from the rings.
And we have universities, there's technology, just with a video or a picture.
Yes, and send it on to them.
It can be done and sent off,
a high-resolution picture that they can really look at in some detail. Yes. Because it'd be interesting to know the age, but I can almost put my hat on the table that that tree was probably there from the time of the Kalinago. It's a very old tree. Right. So we were talking about the Charles Fort, and I know that the National Trust was looking at making it a visitation site, as I mentioned, but it would need a few little bits and pieces of upgrade in terms of things like finding bathroom facilities for visitors, maybe even some kind of refreshment facility. And of course, most vital, some sort of interpretation center, somewhere where artifacts from the site can be restored and put on display, with, of course, labels and explanations of their importance and what they did, and all about the fort as it was a fort originally, and then about it as its altered use when it became the site of the leper home, also called the Hansen home. And so the site itself can be a very good historical site that people can visit and get information. And I think even I see somebody's trying to call me on my cell phone. Perhaps they can call the National Trust number 6620989 if it pertains to the program 4660989 or 6620989. Yes, and so that site can become a very important site that we can interpret as Mr. Socrates had mentioned last week. We are losing that site very rapidly. A lot of the buildings that were standing even just 3 years ago are now collapsing inside of that site. The wooden parts, of course, are being eaten by termites, and the weather is assisting with its demise, wood rot, and so on. But I would hope that we have sufficient photographic documentation of those buildings and so on, so that if necessary, we can recreate what those buildings would have looked like in their heyday. And we have pictures also of the site when it was a leper colony. And those are very interesting because they show that the site was very well kept. It had gardens and it was very orderly. It was separated down the middle by a fence that separated the males from the females. And then there was a main hall where everyone could gather together in order to have functions and social interaction. But then they had to go their separate ways as males and females to their designated part of the area. So we hope that in time the National Trust can get the kind of funds. We know it's not easy to undertake that project and see it happening as we are now seeing with the National Trust, our old Treasury building.
Yeah, Mr. Hanley, in all fairness, I know you mentioned Mr. Socrates Hodge, and pardon me. In all fairness, yes, he did approach us, but I know that there was a meeting with him and the president, and I think it would have been a representative from Sustainable Development. Because you said the magic words a few seconds ago, Mr. Hanley, hoping that we can get the resources.
Yes.
All right? And as I said, yes, we can write grants, but we all know that a lot of funds have been closed down. We are hoping that they will come back. But their grants, when it comes to grants, it's very competitive. So there's no guarantee that we would get, the grant even if we write for it. But we would if it's available. But again, to sum it up, it's resources. We have the capable heads on our board. We have everybody. We have the creative minds. We have the historians. We have the committed persons like yourself to the history, heritage. I don't think you would give up your every Friday for Heritage Matters. So we have the right people, but the resources. Because I wish I could go around to all of the sites today with a checkbook or a purchase order or have a proposal to submit somewhere where there are funds. I wanna say it, and sometimes I'm daring. I am one who, when I came on, because of no transition, I did a lot of reading. And I didn't just read from the trust. I went way back from the Heritage Society. We still have the connection to persons of the Heritage Society. And I'm appealing to them as well, because I still go to them. We have Jackie Amony. I go to her all the time. She sends me her bits and pieces to guide me. We know we still have Larry, her husband, on the board. I bother him as well all the time. But I want to ask her to reach out to the person who supported in the past, who for whatever reason, stopped for a while. And I say for a while, because I know that their hearts are still with us. And so I want to reach out to those persons who in the past have donated or have gotten together as a team to do projects. I'm asking if they could continue to do the same.
Okay. I think that appeal should be appreciated and hopefully responded to. So we'll hope that persons would hear you and that they would respond accordingly. And just to make an appeal to everyone to support the National Trust in its efforts. The project, as we say, with the Treasury Building is ongoing, actively ongoing. There are even further technical persons coming in today, that will make continue the progress of the. So you can see that there is action. There's action, and as you pass there, you can see what's going on, and you'll see that the building is soon going to be ready within the next several months. So we ask your cooperation and your guidance. Your effort in making sure that the public stays safe, including yourself, as you pass in, around, and near. Well, I should say around and near that building. So I want to thank Mrs. Bradshaw Keynes for joining us today. She's the Executive Director of the St. Christopher National Trust, and she is the lead person in getting the restoration work done on the National Trust building, the old Treasury building. And we are grateful to hear of its the resumption of the restoration work, and we look forward to its completion. So thank you, Mrs. Keynes, for joining us, and we look forward to hearing you again on the program, because, as you say, we collaborate as heritage individuals, and so we will be looking forward to hearing more from you, and even you joining us on this program for other matters on Heritage Matters. So thank you all for listening. Thank you, Mrs. Bradshaw Keynes. Thanks to Win FM, and thanks to our sponsors. And we will see you next time. We join us in not Friday coming, but the following Friday for another edition of Heritage Matters.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win.